Welcome now to Talk of the Nation. Thank you for staying with us. You're still with me, Sandra Twinobdio. Now, tonight we do look at the challenges of online learning. With, of course, the full reopening of the education sector, there have been concerns about the effectiveness and also the cost of online learning. So tonight we speak to the Vice-Chancellor of Kampala International University, Professor MOUHAMMAD MPEZAMIHIGO, on the challenges that learners face in going through online learning vis-a-vis physical learning as well. A very good evening and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Sandra, and to all our viewers. Thank you for hosting me once again.
We are happy to have you in our studios again, speaking about the same issue, online learning.
Right.
Now, as an institution, how are you incorporating online learning and physical learning? Have you insisted on pushing online learning as well, and how are your students embracing that?
First of all, I think the advent of COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown catapulted so many of the institutions into thinking about more innovative ways of incorporating digital technologies in the delivery of teaching, research and community engagement. And so, for example, at Kampala International University, we were able to expand on the access of the learning management system of the university, and also extra and additional investment in our online digital platform. And so what we did was, like a few other institutions, was to ask lecturers to actually undergo training, plus also the students, those who were available by that time, and so they were able to increase their capacity and then deposit content on the learning management system. Now, when we got this reopening, it required that because students had been away like for 2 years for some of the programs, although we had some staggered opening, especially for the health-related programs. So when we reopened fully, we maintained presence online, but students were required to come on campus, and so there's that blend. And so the fundamental issue was, do you now exclusively keep away students? Some groups remain online and others attend. In fact, the period of the lockdown, a sizable number of the students were unable to access content because of the various challenges that we may be able to discuss in this show. And so as we speak, we are encouraging the faculties, the schools, the colleges to continue with enhancing and improving the quality of the content they deposit online. But we're also encouraging the students to acquire some smart gadgets, because it appears living with technology and integrating it in our daily activities of the university is going to become a minimum. Yeah.
Would you say that students are actually embracing it? Do you feel they're getting comfortable? I know way before even COVID-19,
right,
sometimes course units or courseworks or exercises were really posted online, you know, on different online platforms.
Yes.
However, now it is like full swing. They're doing it more. Do you feel students are fully taking it on?
Of course, in the beginning there was some lukewarm acceptance. Some of the students actually thought the lockdown would just take, you know, like a short time. And then they also didn't know that actually online learning and even assessments, you know, doing tests and exams was possible to be done. And so those who succeeded and got an experience were able to become like change agents for the ones who had misgivings. We also have a positive outcome of this. Some parents who were hesitant, of course, in providing smart gadgets to their children who are joining university or who are already in university, now have found it, you know, like it's really a necessity. It's no longer a luxury for a student to hold a smart gadget. So we are looking at opening it up, having all the students having access to physical learning, but we are also telling them for every course that is being delivered, some percentage of it has to continue being delivered online, so that we build this culture. We are able to encourage. We also get challenges, you know, internet connectivity and so on, and then we are able to fix that and understand the real dynamics of blended learning which is authorized by the National Council for Higher Education, where we want to encourage, and slowly, as time goes by, especially for our postgraduate students, masters and PhDs, we think definitely that category of students should be able to do the larger part of their content online.
That brings me to the question, the challenges that we are likely to face. You know, with online learning, there are quite a number of distractions. You have Twitter, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have all these different things, the notifications always coming through.
Yes.
I mean, as an institution, how are you helping your students, for example, to navigate all these vis-a-vis also the cost of internet?
Right. I think at the moment, the information age has really come in full swing. The development of the social media networks has also gone high, and I know initially it was quite costly, but now there are quite a number of other service providers coming on board. I know data is still quite expensive for quite a number of the students and even staff, by the way. So the key issue where we think as universities and other institutions where we have to focus is to decide to do an investment. For example, you'll be surprised that the internet or the bandwidth that is provided to an institution is not actually utilized very well, largely because of the institutional infrastructure. There are issues to do with the electricity and a few other challenges that actually hinder the full consumption of the bandwidth that is purchased by the institution. And so there is need for building capacity, first of all, within the institutions, such that the value for money is attained through adequate technical hiring of staff or contracting, so that on the one hand, the infrastructure has to be proper and good. On the other, you have to build the capacity of the lecturers and the students themselves. So social media channels can become a bit, you know, they can divert the attention of the students. By the way, even when you are having students in class, you know, while you are teaching, you are delivering, they are busy chatting. Sure. And so now the other fundamental issue is, are we going to see a shift in the regulations of exams? Because digital learning may actually call for open book learning. This is the open book learning is where students are allowed to access any materials. And so would taking a phone in the exam room still be an offense? Like in some institutions, if you are found with a phone, it's assumed either you've loaded content or you've been able to access the exam and you are copying and pasting answers on your answer booklet. So there's going to be a paradigm shift, definitely. Whereas those challenges are there, we need to think about handling them because they are multifaceted. They are student-based challenges where they talk about less data or no data, the equipment they need to use. There are institutional challenges where the infrastructure is badly lacking. You may be paying heftily, and actually you pay a lot of money. The service provider gets the internet bandwidth up to your doorstep, and inside you cannot handle. Then there are those that are based on the lecturers, the human resource. Some lecturers still want to use, you know, their old notes. They do not want to update themselves, and so when they go to class in the lecture room, it's like they are boring the students. So this all has to be considered, and at a institutional level, we have to have teams that actually try to see how we go blended, right?
So that the issue is really to have a blended mode of education.
Yes, it's no longer an option.
Not to say online learning or physical learning is the way to go. It has to work together. It
has to work together because we have a very long way to deal with the attitude, the mindset change, but also the infrastructure. I mean, you check on the physical infrastructure of the institutions we have in the country. I mean, if you are to digitize, if you are to have smart lecture rooms, if you are to have smart labs, labs that integrate and interact, you know, you expect a lecturer to have this bandwidth to demonstrate on a smart screen, some practical, you know, connect to a professor in another institution who can give a lecture. So we have to think about that investment, both at the institutional level, but then the issue becomes now who pays for the student, who is going to buy the data. And who is going to buy for the lecturer?
Who's going to buy the Wi-Fi?
Yes,
the
exactly.
institution?
Yes. We can provide, an institution can provide a Wi-Fi environment, Wi-Fi enabled environment. Internet is available. Now, who is to pay for the additional investment? So these are some of the issues that we have to work together. And I think the government definitely has a responsibility to see that if we are to maintain the quality of our education, we definitely have to integrate technology. It's no longer an issue. I mean, people were dragging their feet, even regulation allowing online. We are grateful that now the regulators are actually licensing institutions to deliver a blended format, some online delivery, while you are also having physical. So I think this is where we are at the crossroads. So there's someone out there who's watching us tonight, maybe a head of an institution that is trying to incorporate online learning and get their students to embrace it as well. What is the best advice that you would give them? Because it looks like the future is going online and physical. Of course, for heads of institutions, we definitely need to be looking at the opportunities available. We have to look for philanthropies if we cannot raise the funds ourselves. But if you want to keep your institution futuristic and maintain it and keep it running, there is a very big need for you to be thinking about where you put your money. And technology is not going to be an option. It's going to be a basic necessity. So at an institutional level, we have to do that investment. However, there are also challenges. There are security issues, for example, ethics that have to be managed. So, for example, students can easily decide to have like 100% examination malpractice, where cheating becomes normal, because cheating online is probably quite easy. So we will have to spend some money into security, online security, and also what they call online proctoring, like invigilation, remote invigilation, where, I mean, you can be here and invigilate students in the Western Campus in Ishaka doing the exam, and everything is recorded and you are able to pick it up. And then backups have to be done and so on and so forth. So there's technology that needs to be worked on by institutions. Secondly, we have to have collaborations, because some institutions are way ahead of the others. So if you lock yourself in the box and you're an institution, you are not outward looking, then you can be sure you are heading for extinction. All right. The Vice-Chancellor of Kampala International University is speaking to us on the importance of blending online and physical learning for the benefit of the learners. Thank you as well for joining us. We'll take a short break, and NTV Weekend Edition will return shortly.